Oh, Frank! How are you all this evening of your time?
Great.
Are you all alive?
Yes.
Thank you. Allow us to begin this interaction, this evening of your time, with a few ideas of the reasons for our interaction with your society at this time in your history. Your civilization, as we have perceived it, has existed for thousands of your years in relative degrees of awareness. Awareness of self, awareness of the realities all around you. You have existed in, more or less, what may be termed a sleepwalk state. Limited, segregated, separated in various ways, highly focused into certain daily routines and patterns and habitual rituals which have created patterns and cycles of repetition in your society that on some levels may be negative and that you may no longer prefer to experience in your society. Now, we have perceived for a few of your decades, your society, not just individuals within it, but en masse, has begun to explore the idea of consciousness itself, has begun to expand its definitions and with it its horizon into the exploration of what you are as a being, what you are as a spirit. With this new attitude, with this new perspective, with the diverting of your energy in this new direction, several things occur simultaneously. An expansion of your awareness begins to take place. You begin to consider things that your society as a whole has not allowed itself to consider for quite some time. You begin to become aware of the possibility of other consciousness within what you call your universe. You begin to seriously consider that interaction with not only the other consciousness that may be in the universe might be possible, but that you begin to discover that interaction with different levels of your own consciousness is also possible, and that you have, in fact, more levels to your consciousness than you originally thought. All of these things, as you say, are part and parcel of the expansion of awareness of yourself that is now going on your planet, that you have termed the transformational age, or the new age, if you wish. It is that self-examination, self-exploration. And when you do that, when any civilization begins to expand in the ways you are expanding now, begins to explore the things you are exploring now, you change your vibration, your frequency, your radiation. And this radiation is picked up, if you will, sensed by other civilizations, by other levels of consciousness, by other dimensionality that are already exploring or have explored some of the levels you are now beginning to explore. When this radiation is sensed, then, in that sense, we approach very cautiously, very slowly, the civilization that is undergoing the change, so as to not, in your terms, upset the balance of their progress at the rate they have determined is appropriate for them. But bit by bit, we sense that there may be individuals and groups of individuals that are willing to consider new points of view, perhaps new approaches to life, and willing to consider that they can create and have every right to create and deserve to create the realities upon your planet that you desire to experience, rather than continuing your age-old habit of assuming that physical reality is somehow separate from you, that you really have no dominion or control over, and that you have to, as you say, take what is dished out. You are beginning to recognize that you, as some of your ancient literature suggests, are truly made in the image of the infinite creation. And what that simply means is that every being is made in the image of the infinite creator. And what that means is that every being is a reflection of the infinite creation. A mirror, a model, if you will, of the infinite creation. And what that means is that you are actually the creator of the experiential reality that you have. In other words, yes, the universe exists, all creation exists, and in that sense you can say was created by the initial creator, But all the experiences, personally, that you have within that universe are your doing, are the doing of each and every individual that has the experience. These are some of the things we can explore in this interaction this evening of your time. Our primary purpose in interacting with your civilization at this time is to reflect back to you certain things that have been buried within your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind, for a long time. To reflect back to you the things you really do know, that you have forgotten that you know, so that you can remember that you are made in the image of the infinite Creator, and act like it. And know that you have dominion over your physiological experiential reality, and create it to be the way you wish it to be. We have the purpose of interacting with you to discuss the mechanics of how this may be so, of how you may allow yourself to accomplish a realization that you always have been, are now, and always will be in control of your experiential reality, whether you have remembered that or not. These are the things we are here to assist you in, to give you back the power that you, for thousands of years, have given away to other individuals, to ideas that you hold above yourself. You have, as a society, made less of yourselves many times. It is now time to reclaim your integrity, take back your power, take back your responsibility. And that is why in every interaction that we have with your society, we remind you, first and foremost, you are not expected to believe anything we say simply because it is us saying. You are equal to us in every way, shape, and form as far as we are concerned. Yes, our civilizations are different. Yes, some civilizations may have a more expanded point of view, be less limited in your terminology, socially, technologically, if you will. That does not make you less. It simply makes you different. You can choose to expand and to grow, to learn, to share, to create peace, harmony, love upon your world. You can learn to do these things. But we are not here to force you into that modality. We are here to love you, to reflect to you your ability to create that modality if you desire to. So we are here to share what works for us. And we can guarantee it will work for you if you desire to use it. If you don't, we will love you no less. And we still appreciate that each and every individual in creation is their own unique way that the infinite Creator has of expressing itself. No matter what comes out of any interaction with you, to us, that is a gift. Because it allows us to see all the different ways that creation can manifest itself through all the different beings that you are. We thank you for that interaction. And in return for the gift you have given us, I simply ask you now, how may I serve you?
Bashar.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing and co-creating with us tonight.
And you as well.
And I also want to thank you. It's so exciting sharing with you, and your reflections have made it wonderfully possible for me, let's say, to really realize the abundance and the excitement that's all around in mine, and it's been wonderful all the time. I think about the wonderful times, but I also experience the times, and that was reflected in the drive up here from where we came. It's roughly about a 10-hour drive, 8 to 10-hour drive, and I can actually remember driving for about an hour. And it was wonderful because I just went from idea to idea. I felt there were we got a very strong sense of space, brothers and sisters all around. In fact, there was one time when over the crest of a hill, I'll sneak this one in on you, over the crest of a hill where there were no trains or highways, I saw some very bright, shining, rotating lights reflecting up over the hill. And I just wanted to ask you...
no, it was not.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to know if you sort of knew that.
But it was in your terminology, if you will, maneuvers by factions of your own military.
Yeah. Oh. Unadvertised, too, I would say. So it's great.
We thank you for your sharing at this time, but allow us to point out one idea that we would like to share with all of you that we have shared many times. This notion of where time goes when you are having fun. Now you all say, well, time flies. Well, you know it doesn't really fly. We understand the expression in your language, however, but what is really happening is the following. When you are focused on something that you really love to do, when you are completely absorbed by that idea, you are living in the moment, truly in the moment, the now, eternal moment. You see, time and space is your creation, is your projection, is your illusion. It is real while you are in it, but it is an illusion nonetheless. It is a convenience. It is a definition, the definition you require to be able to exist in the format you call physiological reality. Without the notion, without the idea of time and space, you could not play, if you will, the game of physiological reality. Not to the extent of the limited way you have played it. It has served a purpose being played out that way, and we can discuss this later. But the notion for now is that time is very malleable, very flexible. And what is actually happening when you are living in the moment, when you are doing something that absorbs you so much of your excitement goes into it, that you do not feel the passage of time. And then you look up and say, oh my, well, 3 hours or so have passed, perhaps. Only felt like, oh, say, 15 minutes to me. Well, let me tell you something. Whatever you have actually experienced in terms of the amount of time, whatever amount of time you actually feel has passed is the amount of time, and only the amount of time you have physically aged. You simply reconnect yourself into the agreed upon majority time flow to keep pace with everyone, so that you can recognize that 3 hours have passed for everyone else, but it is not that you have ignored it. It is that you didn't create it. And if you do not feel the 3 hours, you have not lived 3 hours. You have only lived 15 minutes experientially. And you have only aged the 15 minutes experientially. This is why your lifespans are getting longer and longer and longer, because the more you live in the moment, the more you gather yourself back together in the present rather than the past or the future. You then become, in the now moment, more timeless, more ageless. You recognize your eternalness, your infiniteness. And therefore, an hour, a day, a week, a month, a year, 100 years can go, as you say, in the twinkling of an eye. You look up and say, oh, an hour has passed. Well, seems like 100 years have come and gone. Where did the time go? It didn't go anywhere. You simply didn't create it. It is an actuality in terms of physical mechanics that we are discussing. We are not discussing just an attitude. We are not discussing just a philosophy. We are discussing physics and mechanics. The experience you have of time determines the actual amount of time you spend in any particular reality. And it will show upon you. And the more you learn to live in the moment, no matter how much time you have created, you can actually reverse that process and go back to a physiological state that is more conducive of the style in which you are living now. You all follow along? Mm-hmm. Sure. Hey.
Could you elaborate or explain, define integrity?
Integrity. Thank you. Integrity is usually that which is referred to as simply the utilization of positive energy for positive purpose, positive means. But integrity, in that sense, from your own root word, signifies that you are integrated, that you are gathering all that you have segregated and bringing it back together. Integrity, in a sense, is literally pulling yourself together, functioning as a unified whole, not as a collection of parts, if you will. Integrity involves trust, love, harmony, willingness, and action. It means functioning as a whole being, knowing you are connected to all the things you need to be connected to, and living the life that you know represents who you are. Acting outside of integrity means lack of trust, unwillingness to believe you are in control, attempt at gaining control in an exterior way, domination, force. That is lack of integrity because you do not feel integrated and a part of the whole. That is a basic definition of integrity. Will that suffice?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sharon.
Bashar,
Yes.
what is your concept of God, or all that is? God, Goddess, all that is
Hey, thank you. In a sense, you have already defined it. When you say all that is, it is literally to us that. All that is. Nothing is left out of that definition. When we say all that is, we mean it. In other words, anything we can conceive of, any being, any place, any situation, any circumstance, any object, any dimension, any universe is God. It is all God. In a sense, our concept is a literal interpretation of the phrase all that is. We recognize that while your word God can signify the infinite creation, the infinite creator, in a way that allows you to know it is self-aware, which it is, as a single identity, which it is also aware of itself as the combination of all identity within the creation that it is. So to us, it is not so much that God is separate from the creation. It is that God is its creations. You, us, all things are made of God. That is our definition of God. Does that suffice?
No, but it needs more elaboration.
All right. In what direction?
In the direction of different levels of existence or consciousness. Up to where does it go? Is there an
Up
end to
to
it?
where? No, there is no end. It is absolutely self-contained. There is no beginning, there is no end, and there is no outside.
So your definition is limited. Your definition of a limitless being is necessarily limited.
In a sense, yes, if we have to use terminology. But the idea to us simply is that God is all that is. Anything you can imagine is God. God is that. It is a part of God. It is contained within God. God is everything, everywhere, everyone, every when. Anything you can imagine must be within and made of God, because there is no outside, or you couldn't imagine it if there was. Is this making any more sense?
A little more. How about energies? The different kinds of energies.
But these are all simply different vibrations within God. Different levels within God.
And they can be used for positive or negative.
Absolutely. Everything can be used either positively with integrity or negatively without integrity. Because God is all energy. And therefore, by definition, must contain the polarities of positive and negative.
One last question.
Hey.
What is your concept of evil or the devil?
Thank you. We recognize what you call evil simply as a lack of integrity, the use of negative energy, or energy in a negative way. To us, the terms in your language, good and evil, right and wrong, well, we understand what you generally mean by them, but many times we find that your society doesn't understand even what you mean by them. Because the terms good and evil, right and wrong, are very subjective value judgments. And you know, if you simply think about it for a moment, that you have witnessed upon your planet times and situations where something may be going on that you know is an expression of integrity. And certain individuals can say, that's evil, that's wrong. And you know you have seen circumstances where individuals are expressing negativity, and yet someone may be judging that to be good and right. So to us, the terms positive energy or integrity negative energy or lack of integrity are more precisely descriptive of the energy you usually refer to and the actions you usually refer to as right, wrong, good, evil. The devil concept to us is simply the collective consciousness, again, self-aware, because all consciousness can be self-aware, but the collective consciousness of your entire civilization on the negative side. So, this spirit, this being you call a devil, is simply part and parcel of your civilization. Not that there are not beings throughout the universe that may choose to express themselves negatively, because there are. But the one that you most often refer to as the devil or Satan is simply the combination of all the negativity in your consciousness on your planet. And because all consciousness is alive, it is alive and self-aware. But its power and its existence is only derived from the support it gets from your civilization as an idea. In other words, fear in and of itself is a negative vibration. Fear generates the existence and maintains the existence of the consciousness form you call the devil. In and of itself, it really is quite empty and cannot derive sustenance or support without the fear in your society. This is our perspective of the being and the consciousness you call the devil. Is this clear, or is there some specification we need to make?
I don't want to take the floor all the time. I thank you for your interaction.
We thank you. Feel free to interact anytime. Everyone can realize that they can learn from anything anyone has to say. Sure.
Bashar,
Hey.
I'd like to ask you a number of questions.
All right.
Could you identify exactly the galactic location of your planet?
Yes. In your terminology, it is approximately 500 of your light years in the direction of the constellation you call Orion, but we are in another dimensional plane from you. Our star is not visible to you. In our normal dimension, your star is not visible to us unless we make a vibrational shift. Does that answer the question?
It's not physical, he said. So in other words,
It is physical, but not in your vibratory dimension. It is in a parallel dimension.
in other words, we cannot observe it astronomically through our telescopes or our radio astronomy.
Not from your dimensional point of view. If an individual on your planet were to change his or her vibrational frequency and then look through one of your telescopes, yes, then you could see it. But from your typical dimensional vibrational frequency, no, you cannot.
Bashar,
Yes,
are you familiar with the Ashtar command?
we are to some degree familiar with what you call the Ashtar command, yes. Although to us it has slightly different connotations than the ones that have circulated upon your planet. It is representative to us of a gathering, a grouping of consciousness that is involved, as we are with your planet, in terms of uplifting and elevating your consciousness, reflecting to you the ideas that you are, the godhood, the goddesshood that you are, so that you can then create the world of harmony and love and peace that you desire. It is assisting you in much the same way, although they are of a different frequency, and therefore different individuals will be attracted to them, different individuals will be attracted to us, and vice versa. Does that answer the question?
In other words, you are not working under the so-called Intergalactic Federation.
Yes. We term it the association. That is our terminology for what you call a federation. We simply prefer the term association rather than federation, because the term in your language, federation, has, as you say, governmental connotations which actually do not exist as a structure in our association. But yes, they are a part of that association, we are a part of that association, so are many other civilizations, especially the ones from Pleiades, Sirius, Reticulum, and many others at this time that are interacting with your world to be of assistance in whatever way, shape, or form we can, unobtrusively.
Other question.
Hey.
Do you have a bodily form?
Yes. It is, in your terms, approximately of average 5 feet in height. White, whitish gray skin coloration, very wide, upturned eye. Males have no hair. Females have hair. We are very slender in appearance. The closest approximation you might care to make to any racial type you are familiar with would be something similar to what you would call Mongolian upon your planet, but not identical. Similar. Our eyes are much larger, much further upswept. Our features are a little more, in that sense, refined, not quite so structured. Very small in the nose, the mouth, the ears, very large in the eyes.
Has anybody of your planet ever been incarnate on our planet?
Hey, many times, many times. The physical channel before you is my only incarnation that I have had upon your world.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sure.
Bashar.
Hey.
Well, I just also want to welcome you to being here. It's just wonderful to be here with you in the San Francisco area for lots of reasons for me. And I want to talk about that a little bit, but I wanted to ask you about a dream that I had that was so vivid and intense. I wrote it down in purple ink. And
Purple ink?
Purple ink. And thought constantly about asking you about this dream, and then left what I had written, I think, back at the other hotel. So I think probably all that's important today, and I'll go through the dream next channeling with you, is what I remember of it.
All right.
Some synchronicity with it. And that is that somebody in the dream was loudly whispering throughout the dream the number 47 over and over and over again, like an overlay to the dream. And the dream had to do with me being in a room that I have dreamt of before that seems like I've seen, I think, in cowboy movies, just an old house.
Cowboy movie.
Cowboy movie with a screen door that squeaks when it opens, and very poverty-stricken kind of thing. Nothing that I can really relate to, other than that's only place I ever remember seeing something like this. And there are these beds that aren't really exactly made up, just with sheets on them. And I'm sitting there, and there's some discussion about whether or not I'm to have this baby. And it then...
As we have said, the decision has not been finalized. Not by you, not by them.
Right.
But it's solidified.
And it feels like it's getting closer.
Yes.
And then anyway, the 47, and I was just going to mix it up with another dream that I had the week before, where I was giving birth, and I had on this white nightgown with ruffles and stuff, the kind of nightgown that I'm very fond of right now that is sold in a particular chain. But I didn't hear the baby cry at all when the birthing process was going on.
No pain, no shock, no trauma, only support, only energy, only love. For many of the new births, remembering that some of these new births are about yourselves, not literally about children, but even for the literal children, no more pain, no more suffering, no more shock, no more trauma.
I see. Okay, because I had interpreted it differently than
Go ahead.
I had interpreted, someone that the next day in a meditation group said, I think it was a stillborn, that may have been why you didn't hear the crying, and I wasn't able to relate to that. Okay.
It is quite alive and quite active. Simply, it is at peace. So unused to that state in your society, that generally you make the assumption that for something to be that peaceful, it must be dead.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I feel good about myself not trusting that. And so when I woke up, and I was telling my husband about the dream, among the things he said to me when he listened, and then he jokingly said, well, they said 47, and that was around the time that the first spaceship landing was. Now all they have to say
Crashing.
Oh, crashing. Okay. He said now all they have
not what we would call a landing, per se.
Well, I wasn't sure what the number meant. He jokingly said, now all you have to do is have them whisper 19 and you've got it. Well, we were just joking at that point.
It does have reference to your year, 1947. It also has reference to the idea of the timing of 47 years, of which you have already experienced 40, from 47 to your 87. 7 more years generally is all that is required. It is the average span of time required for the majority of you, and in this case you in particular, to be experiencing more and more, a high degree of percentage more of the type of reality you truly desire.
Okay, that makes...
It also, in your terms of numerology, combines into the idea of 11, the power number, the first transitional gate.
So that's where I'm at. Going to where I'm at, experience right now.
There is more to it than that. But for now, that is what we can share.
Okay, because the whole week things were happening, which I felt was synchronistic.
Everything is synchronistic. Whether you pay attention to that or not is another thing. But everything is synchronistic. Everything is connected to everything else, and everything happens for a reason. Everything. Everything. Oh, not everything. Well, yes, everything. No exceptions at all, Bashar. No exceptions at all.
I want to
Not
do
even one. No, not even
Not
one.
even one. What you see one enough, never one. Okay. So the next day we were invited to an art gallery opening in the town where we lived with somebody that we didn't know very well. And she said, why don't you stop by between 6 and 9, preferably around 6. And that was my plan. And then all day long something kept telling me, go later in the evening, make other plans, rearrange things, and go around 8 o'clock. And so that's what I finally did. And somebody who had been there for a few minutes at 8 o'clock, I started talking to them, and she began telling me about having just adopted a child. And so we began speaking, and she gave me information. The next day, I was able to start papers rolling for an adoption procedure. And the woman said to me, you're probably going to have to wait about 10 days, 2 weeks before you get all the information. And I said something like, oh, probably not, because it's something I want very much. And the next day, the information was in the mail.
Manipulation of time.
And
is brought about by intensity of intention.
Okay. Because my feeling is just basically what I want to share with you is it felt so right to receive that information from this lawyer that is something we're going to pursue.
The 10-day period you were quoted in that sense is simply a symbolic format to let you know that the idea has old Orion connections. The form you call adoption is an Orion trait in the incarnations of Orions upon your planet. Not that others cannot do it, but those with linkages to that stellar system in times past will more or less, more often than not, adopt rather than bear what you call living children. Because there are so many that are incarnated already that you can only form the families you need to form by allowing yourself to come through into incarnation whenever you can, and then finding each other in whatever way you can. Through adoption is one way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasant dreams.
Thank you.
Sure.
Sure.
Hey.
Could you elaborate on the meaning of the number 11 and further on that, if there's any additional meanings of the number 1111?
Hey. Thank you. Recognize that 11, as any symbolic mathematical relationship, is representative of vibrational frequencies, vibrational equations, if you will, which go into making up what you perceive to be the physiological universe. Certain frequencies will represent overlappings of these vibrations of the primal fundamental energy of creation in certain ways. These certain ways reinforce themselves when the waves overlap, creating specific concepts, specific energy gates, specific flow of energy. What you call 11, in that sense, is the self-reflecting symbol of the prime one. In that sense, it is a mirror image. It is, in that sense, the first representation of a higher polarity. It is a gate to another dimensional realm, and it is also the first step out of what you recognize as your physiological universe, which is 10 dimensions. It is 11, the first representation of the next level of dimensionality of universes. And every 11 after that, 22. 33 is an especially strong one. That is why many transitions in your lives take place on or around the age of 33. It is a triad of 11s, and the triad, the triangle, is the basic constituent of all physiological reality. All things are meted out in threes. Polarity, 2, and there's a third principle that allows them to move into action, into realization, into manifestation. So 11s mark certain patterns of energy, patterns of frequency that describe how different universes are interconnected and at the same time actually function as a mathematical description of the gate, the doorway, if you will, through which you can align your vibrations to accelerate you through those gates, through those levels of awareness, those levels of consciousness, to bring yourself into closer realization and manifestability within the realities that you desire upon your planet. Is any of this making some sense?
Somewhat.
Is this serving you? Is there a particular aspect you wish to focus on?
I'm actually more interested in the number 1111 itself, not as a doubled 11 to 22, but rather as 11 that stand side by side. It's a number that appears to me constantly, be it in time.
Well, you are simply observing your own synchronicity. Many individuals upon your planet will observe specific numbers that represent awareness of synchronicity. It is also 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth density that you are going into, the fourth dimensionality, 1, 1, 1, 1. It is a gate of a specific type that represents the awareness and recognition of interconnectedness, synchronicity. Many individuals in your society use the same number, 11, 11. There are also those that use 10, 10, but that's a very specific frequency with a very specific connection. Others will use 44. But again, it is similar to the idea of the 4-1 and is representative of the fourth dimension into which you are proceeding. It is your key, your signal, consciously, to tune into when things are aligned harmoniously, and so you can see that, so you can move in that direction. It is your signpost to let you know you are following the course of events harmoniously that you need to follow, or that you can be made aware of the harmonious line that you can prefer to follow if you're not doing so. It is your signpost in that sense. You follow me?
Yes.
Does that assist you?
Yes, very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
You and then you.
I wanted to ask you a couple of questions.
All right, go right ahead. Speak up.
Okay, if someone that you love has died recently,
Yes.
is it possible to feel that person's vibration?
Oh, absolutely. Why not? Nothing ever really dies. Nothing ever really disappears. Energy is all here and now. Look at the radio analogy. Your device upon your planet you call a radio. You'll have that, yes?
Another question.
One moment. I'm not finished. Do you think that that was a sufficient answer for you?
It was, kind of.
Oh, all right. But let's look at it this way. We wish you to understand the mechanics so that anytime, anywhere you have a similar question, you can apply the understanding to it and answer the question yourself, all right? Yes, no, maybe? That's it. You have a device you call a radio, yes? Thank you. You know that no matter whether or not you are getting one program at a time, you know that if you switch the dial and get another program, that doesn't mean the other program is still not there, does it? It means all the programs are there all at once, and you can receive any of them you want to, depending upon where your dial is tuned. So you can always receive any energy that has ever existed in any form whatsoever. Just tune your dial, your thoughts, to that frequency. Picturing it, if you will, that's one way. Feeling it, that's another way. And that will tune you into that frequency, and you will receive communication and connection in whatever way is representative of what serves you and them best. Follow? Does that serve you?
Yes, it does. So when I'm thinking of that person,
They are receiving, and so are you. Now, they may be aware of it in different ways. You may be aware of it on different levels. It may not always come, as you say, as a loud and audible conversation. But it will be received, and the energy will be used in whatever way benefits that individual best for the state in which they now exist. You will receive the information in the same way, in the format and the state that benefits whatever you need to know at this time that serves you best. Follow me? What else?
I think what I was trying to feel is just that person's presence.
Yes, well you can. It is very simple. Remember that memory is created in the present. Memory is not really of the past, in that sense. It is in the present. And as soon as you remember, you are recreating. In a very real way. In a very real way. Maybe not in the same format, but it is nonetheless a very real connection and a very real creation. So feel it. It is real. Always. You cannot imagine non-existence. Unreality. Anything you imagine is somewhere, somehow, somewhen, a reality. Does that serve you? Thank you. What else?
I wanted to ask you, you were saying earlier that there are no accidents.
No.
That we plan what comes into our lives.
Basically, some of it you allow to be spontaneous. You do not necessarily plan out every single moment of every single day. But generally, yes. You propel yourself in specified directions, and the results can only be the result of the directions you have propelled yourselves in. So in that sense, yes, you plan, sometimes specifically, but more often than not, generally.
What about suicide?
That is the one exception, in a sense. Conscious suicide. For do remember that all death, in that sense, is suicide, since you do plan it out, quote unquote. But what you are referring to as conscious suicide is an attempt to escape, usually, the agreements and the format and the plans you originally laid out for your life, because you have created, out of the decisions in that life, a belief that your life is not under your control. That you do not think you can transform it in ways that are positive. So individuals that feel so trapped, so powerless, usually think that the only way out is to remove themselves from the original agreement. 99.9% of the time you will find that when an individual consciously suicides for a negative reason, they will almost automatically re-inject themselves back into a new incarnation, go through the life all over again, get to that point all over again, and still have to face the same things because they ran from them the first time. Follow me? Does that answer your question?
Would that person be reincarnated immediately? Or
Can be. Usually. Depends upon the degree of negativity experienced in the transition. Sometimes there can be a great deal of confusion. Sometimes those individuals may not even know they are physically dead. That is what you refer to as your hauntings sometimes. Violent or confusing deaths that do not allow the individual to know they are actually dead. It may take them some time to adjust. They will have assistance on the other side, as you say, to help them adjust. But if they are not willing to pay attention, if they do not believe that there is anything to pay attention to, they will continue to, quote-unquote, wander in a state of confusion. Follow me? So it depends upon the belief system of the individual, first and foremost, about what they thought might happen to them upon physical death. Because remember this, when you are no longer physical, you are a thought form in a world of thought form. There is no time lag between what you think and what you experience. So your strongest belief always creates your experiential reality, both in physical reality and non-physical reality. But in non-physical reality, there's no time lag. So if you're locked into a morose belief, then you will experience an instantaneous manifestation of that type of reality and remain locked into it for as long as you hold that belief. Follow me? That is the original purpose to the individuals on your planet you call exorcists. They are, quote-unquote, spirit psychologists, recognizing that a spirit may still be focused, even though it is dead, towards the physical dimension, and so may pay more attention to physical beings than the non-physical ones who are trying to get their attention to let them know they're dead. So the exorcist, the spirit psychologist, says, after getting the spirit's attention, you are dead. Go on your way. Everything is all right. Be who you wish to be. Not only. Remember that as an oversoul, you have many lines, many aspects, many dimensions of a being. You can feel a person's energy and not necessarily be actually consciously in communication with the singular aspect you used to label as that soul, that energy. A portion of them can be often involved doing many other things, but you can still feel their energy because everyone's energy is everywhere, all right here and now. And you will tap into whatever aspect of it represents your desire, your manifestation, your attempt at communication that you need to perceive. And it is a real contact, but it may be with a portion that is aware of the contact and not necessarily with a portion that's not. Does that answer the question? Thank you very much. Yes, other female. Yes.
Can you explain the higher self and how we can choose to understand our own higher self?
Thank you very much. Now, this notion of higher self, all right, all well and good, exciting. But remember, what you call levels of consciousness, and we know we have used that terminology, and we do not mean it to be negatively confusing in your term, but such is your language. The notion of level is also an illusion. So many individuals, when they think, oh yes, I wish to be in touch with my higher self, basically will continue to maintain a separation between their quote-unquote lower self and the higher self, not realizing that in a sense they are one and the same thing. However, the higher self you usually refer to simply is represented by that portion, if you will, of your whole spirit, your whole soul, that extends beyond physicality into non-physicality as well, and is actually where most of you is contained. But the idea, the easiest way, or I shall say one of the easiest ways to get in touch with your higher self in a conscious way is to do the following. First of all, allow yourself to be very relaxed. And allow yourself to know that the separation is an illusion. Then imagine a precious thing, your imagination. Many of you do not even know what it is for. It is the access key to any reality you desire to experience. Use your imagination. Imagine the idea of the higher self, what you picture it to be, what you imagine it to be. Imagine how it would feel to be the higher self, if you were the higher self. If you had an opportunity to be that higher self, how would you feel? How would you act? How would you think? What would you do that is different than what you are doing now if you were the higher self? Picture all these things. Imagine all these things. Examine, explore all these things. Then, realize the simple understanding of the following. If you start to act that way, you will be the higher self in physical terms. And you will have absolute close communication with the higher self because you will be the higher self in physical terms. Remember this. In a sense, we know that because of the separation your world has created, you tend to think that your spirit actually inhabits your body. It doesn't. Your body is your spirit in physical terms. So you are the higher self. But the higher self is powerful enough to create the illusion within itself that it has a higher and a lower counterpart, that somehow does not have access to the information and the knowledge that the so-called higher self does. All you need to do is imagine, feel, play out what it would be like to be the higher self, or, if you wish to put it this way, what it would be like to be in contact with the higher self. And as you imagine it, it is so. It is so because your imagination is real. Real. Absolutely real. And it is the tool, the gate, that is specifically key to your vibration to allow you to accomplish what you want to accomplish. That's what it's for. Is this making some sense to you?
Yes.
Does that serve you?
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. One moment, you are next. The other way, another way, if I may, to truly know you are in harmonious synchronization with or as the higher self, is to do, to act, to be in your life the thing with integrity that excites you the most. Because excitement is the physical translation of the vibratory energy that represents the path you chose to be in this life. That's what excitement is. When you are doing the things that excite you the most, that's when you're being the most you. That's what excitement is for, to tell you, this is you. This is what you're all about. So do it. Excitement tells you three things. It tells you, A, this is you. B, because it is you, it is the thing you can do most effortlessly. And C, because it is the thing you can do most effortlessly and is the thing that you are, it is the thing that will allow you to be the most abundant in your life and continue to support you in order to be able to continue to do the thing that you are. So when you do what excites you the most, that vibration, that frequency, that excitement is the vibration of your higher self. It is the vibration of you being the higher self in physical reality. Does that make sense? Thank you very much, yes.
Something completely different.
Oh,
reports of abductions
Yes.
of human beings by extraterrestrials for experimentation.
Oh, yes. Now,
what right do they have?
oh, one moment. I will answer you. Thank you. First of all, remember, many things about your consciousness are relegated to the unconscious level rather than the conscious level. Nothing, absolutely nothing, happens in your experiential reality without your prior agreement and or belief. But the majority of the agreements that have been made between your people and those extraterrestrials, as you call them, those agreements remain relatively unconscious within the majority of you, and you don't remember them many times until way after those interactions take place, because one of the reasons for those interactions is to invoke those memories within you, to bring up the fears that have suppressed those memories of those agreements within you, allow you to play those fears out so that you can get over being fearful. That's why there is so much fear in those abduction cases. Now, if I may, you can use the same word if you want. It does not bother me. However, I would like to simply suggest that rather than the term abduction, we simply use the term detainment, because that is basically all that is happening. An abduction, per se, usually implies that an individual is never returned. The idea is that individuals make agreements, make contracts, to meet at certain times and certain places with those beings, whether they remember they have or not, to undergo certain interactions that will bring out fear within them. Now, this does not mean that they are actually being harmed, nor does it mean that the things that the extraterrestrials do are, in that sense, truly fear-causing. The fear that those individuals feel are simply the buried ideas, the buried fears within them that are brought out in the presence of beings that are wholly integrated, because that is a natural result of the interaction of a wholly integrated energy and one that is not. The wholly integrated energy has a tendency to overwhelm the one that is not, forcing all the things that have been suppressed up to the surface, when an individual in that sense then must face them, no matter how fearful they are. But recognize this: all the individuals that have undergone those detainments have been on the verge of removing fear from their lives completely. The only individuals that happens to on your planet are individuals that have a very small amount of fear left to deal with. We leave individuals who have a greater amount of fear alone, for they are not ready for that interaction to bring them up to the final level of facing who they are, integrating those pieces of themselves they have segregated from themselves for so very long, and become whole beings that can then be equals to us, so that we can, day by day, bit by bit, interact more and more blatantly, openly, with your society as equals, so you will not fear us. Is this making some sense to you?
Yes, it is partially an answer. There has been cases of nasty things happening, or at least reported, between
all right,
extraterrestrial and humans.
And one other thing. First of all, recognize some of the things reported, quote-unquote, literally happened. Many of them have not. Some of the things reported may seem real, but are created out of the fear of the individual and manifested as an experience they believe has actually happened, when in fact all that happened went on in their mind and not physically. Sometimes there are physical marks, but even that does not always mean that it was, in your terms, a literal physical act. Because you and your mind control the matter of your body. And if you really believe that something actually physically happened, even you can create the mark on your body to show that. Some of those marks are real, but in no way, shape, or form has anything ever been done that is, in your terms, truly damaging or truly painful to the individual. The fear of the individual causes all the pain. And there have been individuals that have simply also been asked if they are willing to have the pain suspended, which has also been done for many of them. But the things that are being done for many reasons. And they are being done, whether your individuals know it or not, with your permission. That is what gives them the right. Because they have asked, and you have said, yes, whether you remember it or not. And all that is being done is in assistance to the changes going on your planet, to assist in the transformation so that you will be able to function as the beings you need to be in order to create the planet of peace and harmony that you say you desire. I know a lot of it doesn't make sense at this time, but the more that you integrate and the more that you trust that you are also co-creators with us in these interactions, the more you will understand there is no need for fear, and the less you fear, the more pleasant the interactions will be. But you have agreed to them, and we are only, in that sense, abiding by those agreements. Most of those types of interactions are carried on by a specific group that comes from the stellar system you refer to as Zeta Reticulum. Those are the beings of average 3 feet of your height, sometimes 4, very wide, large, black eyes. Skin coloration can vary from whitish gray to pale beige to dark beige to dark gray green. There are 3 types, as you call them, racial types of Zeta Reticulum. Does this answer your question?
Yes, then in this case, if there is the agreement of the person, then it is within the cosmic law and all is well.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
I was wondering if some beings are acting beside the cosmic law in disagreement with the cosmic law as far as those experiences are concerned.
It has happened from time to time, but it is actually relatively rare. Most of the negativity simply comes from your own fears. But your vibration as a planet has changed greatly since those times, and when your vibration, one of harmony, love, and peace, no longer matches the vibration of fear, then any being that chooses to interact with you negatively will no longer be able to even find you, because you will not exist in the same vibratory plane any longer. So those types of interactions are becoming more and more and more rare. Understand?
Your explanation is very fulfilling for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being a part of the fulfillment of your planet.
I understand more now than ever before about these particular happenings.
Your understanding will make a difference in the ability of your entire planet to understand them as well. We thank you. Sherry. You, and then you.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for being here. It's so nice to share.
We thank you for being there.
A couple questions I want to ask.
All right. Number 1. Speak up, speak up.
First of all, I realize that you're on a totally another dimension.
Hey.
And we're on this dimension.
Hey.
And we're all part of the all that is.
Yes.
And my spiritual awareness, I call it, started about 6 months ago. And I realize now that I have created my reality. I have made these choices.
Hey.
And
may I interrupt you for one more?
Sure.
Thank you very much. Understand, all of you, that when we say there are no accidents and that you create your reality utterly, realize that many of the things that happen to you in your lives that are, or you would label negative in nature, are created usually from some of these unconscious beliefs, unconscious fears that you have. We are not saying that when you create your reality, you are consciously choosing the negativity that happens in your life. We are saying that you unconsciously choose it because you may fear that such a reality is the most likely reality that will happen to you. So, the idea of the whole process of getting in touch and becoming consciously aware of all levels of yourself will put you squarely in conscious control of the fact that you have always created your own reality, and now that you know that, you can create the reality you prefer consciously rather than realities you don't prefer unconsciously. That is what we mean when we say there are no accidents. Continue.
Which is really exciting to me. And
Exciting to us as well. Always has been.
About 13 years ago,
Hey.
my sister died.
Hey.
And I believe, I was in contact with her, and I realized that she is supporting and developing and assisting in the person that I'm becoming.
Yes.
Which is wonderful. And one of the things I wanted to ask
Okay.
And I realized that she's in a totally another dimension.
Okay.
And so are we all to experience those different dimensions?
You already exist on every level there is to exist upon. And you can experience any number of them as you desire, in any way, shape, or format you desire, or any order you desire, or any degree you desire.
Then where will this all lead us
Lead you to.
to?
There is no ending. It is forever. Ecstasy forever.
Do you believe, Bashar, that we are equal to you?
Yes, you are simply different. Using your energy in a different way. Even a being that uses its energy negatively is still equal to a being that uses it positively because they are using the same energy. They are simply doing it in different ways, perhaps one with integrity, one without. But they are still equal in their power, in their potential, in their manifestability, are they not? Yes. So yes, you are equal. No matter what you choose to do with your energy, to us you are still equal. We may have, in a sense, a broader perspective in a more positive nature than your general planet, but that doesn't mean you're not equal. It simply means you are choosing to limit yourself rather than expand yourself.
Okay. So we're in this process right now of becoming whole.
Yes.
And integral.
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel that you've reached that point?
Yes. I will always grow. I will always change. I will always learn more. I will always expand, but I know I am whole. And even you are whole. No matter what the definition or arrangement or apportionment of your energy, you're still whole. Understand?
Yes, I do. Am I to experience your connection?
Do you want to?
Sure.
Well then, you can. And stop. You have, yes. Or let's put it this way. Let me fit this answer into your time trap. You will. At the same time, I can still say you have. Does that make sense to you? It may make more sense if I tell you that we consider ourselves to be in what you would call your future. So in that sense, you will. But because all things are simultaneous and time is an illusion, and because in your dream state you are far more flexible than you allow yourself to be in physical reality, you already have. Visited many times. Does that serve you?
Yes.
One moment. The counterpart of your energy in our dimension that we are aware of has something to do with botany, with living things, specifically of what you would call the vegetation kingdom. A natural gardener, if you will. Does that serve you?
I'm not quite following.
All right. You understand that you have many different lives? Then what may be called the counterpart, the life you have in our dimension that we are aware of, is a being that is involved in the idea of natural biology in that sense, or botany, if you will.
Okay.
Understand?
Understand.
Thank you.
Bashar? Yes.
You are next.
I have been right. Your question, you want to relate to that? Is that it?
Somewhat, yeah.
All
Go
right.
ahead. Oh.
Go ahead.
Decide among yourselves.
Okay. I just wanted to know if you would share more clarity about the harmonic conversion.
All we will say at this time is that the harmonic convergence, as you call it upon your planet, represents the literal midpoint overlap between an old cycle of energy and a new cycle of energy. The old third density vibration and the new fourth density vibration. The old vibration of limitation, the new vibration of integration. That is what it represents. The actual shifting point, although it has been going on for quite some time and will continue for quite some time afterwards, that represents the actual fulcrum point, if you will. There will be many linkages of energy gates upon your planet on that date, and there will be much energy sent to your world from other civilizations on that date. Not that it is not being sent all the time, but it will be extremely focused and powerful on that date, especially with regard to the three energy centers on your planet you call Mount Shasta, Mount Fuji, and Hawaii. They will form the triangle, the doorway, through which the energy from our association of worlds will funnel into your world to make use of in whatever way, shape, or form your energy so desires. You follow?
Yes. I think that answers my next question.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Bashar. Someone I know the dates are the 16th, 17th, and 18th of August, and someone had suggested that my husband and I lead a meditation by the ocean in La Jolla, a place called La Jolla Coves, which is considered to be a high energy.
All right, have a good time. You don't need to ask me anything about it.
And that's to do that, the highest intensity would be at dawn. And I just want to clarify, before I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, Michelle.
What excites you?
Ask you. The idea of doing this excites me a lot, to get people together to meditate.
When does it excite you to do it?
The 16th comes to mind strongly.
All right. At what time?
6 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you. Have a good time. Trust your imagination, because it will provide you with the appropriate frequency that is correct for you.
Okay.
You follow me?
Right.
Remember, it all occurs simultaneously anyway. You will overlap with other individuals in other parts of your world to whom 6 o'clock in the morning is not your 6 o'clock in the morning anyway, but you will overlap with them nonetheless. So, pick the one that feels correct for you. Pick a time in which you feel comfortable, because if you're not comfortable, you're not going to do your best. You follow me?
I might make it later then.
Examine why. And if you find yourself automatically popping away, say 3 in the morning, then trust it. Put yourself on your own automatic timer and say, awaken me when it is the appropriate time for me. Trust that if it does awaken you in that way, you will not be sleepy. So you won't care what time it is, because you'll have the energy, because it is the appropriate timing. You follow me? So that's it.
Yeah, well, what I will do is, in line with that, I will go into meditation and ask that I know the time and to assist other people to come there, to ask them to be there at that time. And I think that power spot feels perfect to me.
Then
Outdoors.
have a good time. And thank you for your participation.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Bashar, this is the first experience I've ever had.
Me too. Remember that every time is the first time.
Okay. I don't understand when you're speaking about dimensions and...
All right. Let's look at it simply first before we go on, may I?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you understand the idea that everything is made of energy? What you call solid matter is simply a form of energy.
Correct.
Do you understand the idea of different colors of light being simply different frequencies of the same energy?
Correct.
Then understand dimensions in the same way. They are whole realities unto themselves, even as you understand your physical universe all around you. But they are of a different frequency, so they overlap, interlink with your dimension, but your senses, more often than not, don't perceive them because they're on a different frequency, much in the same way that your eyes generally don't perceive ultraviolet light, even though it's all around you, because it is of a frequency that is not germane to your particular dimension of experience in the sensory mode. So, there are many, an infinite number of parallel dimensions going on, if you wish, all around you, all throughout. In a sense, you are walking through other people all the time. They are walking through you. But you don't see them, they don't see you, because you're on a different frequency. Now, does that explain dimensions to you sufficiently?
Somewhat.
All right.
And then my other question is, how do you achieve or how do you get to these other dimensions?
All right, thank you. First of all, remember, again, you already exist as a total being on every dimension. Now, sometimes meditation, centering within yourself and bringing yourself to a neutral state with regard to all dimensions, can allow you then to lock into any one that you care to imagine. Remember that your imagination is real, and whatever you imagine is representative of some dimension of reality. So the ones that excite and entice you the most, the ones that have the strongest vibrational meaning for you, are the ones that you will most likely begin to experience when you put yourself in a neutral, centered, balanced state of meditation.
I've never been able to achieve that type of state. How do you get to...
Do you sleep?
Yes.
Well
okay.
then, what is that?
I'm I'm not consciously aware of.
Oh, but you are.
Okay.
Tell yourself perhaps this suggestion. When I go to sleep this night of my time, I know I am still active. I know I am still involved and participating in many dimensions of experience. Allow yourself to grant permission to yourself to slowly but surely, at whatever rate you are comfortable, to begin to recall while you are doing it that you are having these experiences. In other words, create the format you call lucid dreaming. Do you remember any of your dreams ever at all?
Yes.
Then understand that those dreams are symbolically representative of activity in other dimensions of experience. Now, they may be symbolic, more or less. Sometimes they are more literal, sometimes more symbolic. Depends upon what type of reality you are in and whether or not your physical reality has enough symbols to represent that reality when you wake up to allow you to remember the experience. Dreams, many times, are simply representative of an experience and not literal. Sometimes they're literal. So remember, first of all, that your so-called dream is a real experience in a very real reality, but not the physical one you are used to. You follow me?
Yeah.
Allow yourself to tell yourself, when you are dreaming, to let yourself know you are dreaming while you're doing it. Have you ever done that?
Not that I can remember.
All right. You can allow yourself to do so. It is called lucid dreaming in your terminology. You awaken in the dream. And when you awaken in the dream, all of a sudden you realize you are in another dimension of experience. Now, some of you may find this frightening, and so you will prevent yourself from doing that until it is no longer frightening. But tell yourself, you can do this at whatever rate is comfortable for you. And bit by bit, you will find, first of all, probably that your dreams, whatever dreams you do remember, will first of all become more vivid. And then bit by bit, you may allow yourself to snap awake in the dream and realize that the dream is an illusion in a sense, and that you are in a dimension of experience, and that you can create that dimension of experience to be whatever you wish it to be. And then you can control that, and when you control that, when you come back into your physical dimension and awaken into your physical dream, because physical reality is a dream, then you can remember what you did in the dream reality, and you can learn how to wake up in the physical reality, remove the limitation of the focus of solidity and separation of this physical dream, expand the definition, and begin to see into other dimensions of experience. That's one way. Does that appeal to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we not fear?
Well, I'm not going to tell you what you should or should not do. If you want to fear, you can, but you don't have to.
Do we create our own fear if we go to another dimension?
Absolutely.
So
if you choose to trust that you are completely self-empowered and that there is absolutely nothing you could ever discover in any dimension or within yourself that can't be applied in a positive way, if you are willing to trust and know that, then there is nothing to fear, and your lack of fear will create all experiences to be positive. It is only the fear itself that creates the experience to be negative. Not a wiser word was ever uttered on your planet when someone said the only thing you have to fear is fear itself. Because it is only the fear itself that creates the negative effect. No circumstance and no situation has built-in fear. No circumstance and no situation means anything inherently. They are all neutral props. You decide what they mean, and when you decide what they mean, that's the effect you get out of it. The effect you put in, the effect you get out. Positive meaning in, positive effect out. Negative meaning in, negative effect out. Simple physics, simple mechanics, action, reaction. So, if you find yourself fearing, then what that means is you have been taught to believe the circumstance is fearful. Re-examine the belief. Discover why you would believe that. Discover why you might decide you don't want to believe that. If you prefer to believe something else, redefine the old belief. As soon as you redefine the old belief and you recognize it doesn't have to be fearful, I can learn a lot from this, you will transform it into a positive experience, and then there will be nothing to fear. It is automatic. Understand?
Yes, thank you.
Does that serve you?
Yes.
Then most exciting and pleasant dreams to you.
Thank you.
Yay!
You know, we are going through very intense times on the planet Earth.
Oh yes, we're all aware of that.
And the old ways and the old imageries and the old designs are fading away
Yes.
for me,
Yes.
as well as for many other people, I'm sure.
Bit by bit it is changing, yes.
And I am finding myself in a sort of, it's not a limbo, but it's an in-between time.
Very good. Yes, this is a typical symptom now of this particular point in the transition, the limbo state. We have referred to it by that term ourselves very often. It is giving you a chance to shift your gears, to be aware of all the probable realities there are to choose from, so that you can choose the ones you prefer most strongly, re-engage those gears, and head off in that direction. But for now, yes, many of you are floating in what appears to be a limbo state to give you the opportunity to choose which reality you wish to re-engage.
Well, the reality in which I want to re-engage involves wealth.
Abundance.
Abundance. But not having to
Work and struggle for it.
To struggle and to have a beastly little job.
Yes, you don't have to.
Just to make money, but to have a lot of fun.
Yes, that's the whole idea, is that it is very simple. As we have already said, when you do what excites you the most, you will automatically draw whatever type of abundance into your life you need to allow you to continue to do the things that excite you the most. Recognize I said type of abundance, for there are many ways abundance can manifest. It doesn't always have to be by the way you have been taught to think. Abundance needs to be represented in your life. Definition. Abundance. The ability to do what you need to do, when you need to do it. Period. That's all abundance is. The ability to do what you need to do, when you need to do it. Now sometimes that can be in the form you call your money. It can also come in many other ways, however. And many of the reasons why many of you don't allow yourselves to be as abundant as you could be is because you refuse to believe abundance can come in any other way other than the way your society says it must come, or you won't be abundant. So individuals who insist that it has to come through a particular narrow doorway will then force themselves into struggling situations in order to create the abundance in the way they have always been taught it has to happen. But if you do what excites you the most and act upon whatever opportunities are presented in your life that represent what excites you the most with your integrity at any given moment, you will always attract the necessary abundance in whatever form it has to be there to get you to the next level of excitement. Always, always, always. It always works. I guarantee it. 100%. There are no exceptions. Not even you. So, is there something that excites you above and beyond anything else that you are not doing?
That's a good question.
Oh, thank you very much.
Let me think about it. You are catching me off guard there.
Oh, all right. You enjoy.
Well, I enjoy writing, and I enjoy. Well, could you help me? Because I am a little bit in limbo. I don't know exactly what direction to go to create that abundance.
The one that excites you the most at any given moment out of all the things you are aware of that are available to you. Which things that you can do something about, that you can act on in some way, excite you the most?
Well, it's in the area of writing, I would say.
Then write. Be a writer.
Well,
Do not be, one moment, pay attention to the definitions of your beliefs. Do not be someone trying to become a writer, because that will only bring you a life of trying to be a writer. Be a writer. Examine your imagination, what it means to you to be a writer. If you picture yourself being a writer, look at the picture. Is that you, that picture of you, acting differently than the you are now? And if so, then act that way. And you will be a writer and attract a writer's life. The circumstances, coincidentally, automatically, synchronistically, will fall into your lap The opportunities will knock on your door, and they will be the opportunities that come to someone who knows, thinks, breathes, eats, sleeps, acts, lives like a writer. But first you must be the idea before you can have the lifestyle of that being. Understand? That is total trust. If an individual says, well, yes, I'd like to be this, but I have to have something to fall back on just in case, that doesn't sound like someone who really believes they are this thing. Because someone who is that thing doesn't have those thoughts that they need to fall back on something. They're a writer. They don't have to think about that idea. They're a writer. What do you mean, fall back on something? What is there to fall back on? I'm a writer. I don't need anything to fall back on, just in case. I'm a writer. That's who I am. That's what I am. That's what my life is all about. An individual who says, all right, well, I'd like to be this, but just in case, I'll hang on to this. Let's say 30%, then you cannot possibly expect to be what you really want to be any more than 70%, because you're only a 100% being. So as long as you hang on 30% to something you don't want, you can only get what you do want 70%. When you trust that you will always get what your intention is, and that the opportunities will automatically fall into your lap and you can act upon them, then you can trust that you can be what you want to be 100%. And as soon as you are it 100%, you will have that life 100%. Does that make some sense?
It makes a lot of sense, yes. My situation is that maybe I don't believe I can be a writer and create immediate wealth to sustain myself.
But again, remember, recognize how you are defining wealth. You will create whatever form of abundance you need to be a writer in the way you really want to be. Let's put it this way. Let's say you finally decide, all right, I'm a writer, and you start acting like it. Along comes someone, perhaps looking over your shoulder, seeing what you are doing. Say, that's very interesting. What are you writing? And you say, oh, so and so. Say, I was just talking to a friend of mine who wishes to publish a whole series of works just on that subject. Well, this environment you're in, well, it doesn't look very conducive to writing this stuff. Well, you say, well, yes, I know, but you see, I'm a writer, so I'll write anyway, no matter what environment I am. So they say, well, how would you like a better environment for this whole idea to inspire you? This publisher will actually put you up in a glorious mansion for you to write in, so you can be properly inspired to come out with the type of work that he wants to publish or she wants to publish. And you say, it's a deal. Now you have lived in a mansion without ever having to earn $1 to pay for it. That is also abundance. Having what you need to do what you need to do, no matter how it comes. It might come as a gift. You don't know that. Let it come in whatever way represents the path of least resistance. Because many times, needing the money to get what you want may take longer than somebody coming along and saying, hey, take this, please, because you will be helping me if you let me help you. So, that's why you don't need to insist that wealth has to come in a certain format. It will come in whatever way it needs to come to allow you to be whoever you are really being to whatever level you are willing to be it. I promise. It always works. Never doesn't work, because the universe supports all of its creations. When they are willing to function as the fullest creation they know themselves to be, then the universe can support you as fully as you're willing to be. But the universe, even if it supports you always, can only support you to the degree you are willing to believe you are that being. No more, but no less either. Always exactly, precisely, to the degree you are willing to believe you are the idea. So set your intention. Everything else, all the details will automatically take care of themselves. You don't have to focus on how do I get there? What are all the specific processes? Oh yes, they are valid, they can work, they can give you great insight into yourself. We are not discounting them. Every tool is valid. If it works for you, use it. If it doesn't, don't. But the idea is that when you set your intention, when you know what you are, this is the thing that excites me the most, and you act like it and move in that direction, acting upon whatever opportunity presents itself to you that carries the same degree of excitement, you will then automatically pull in all the circumstances you need to do what you need to do. And if you're not immediately capable of doing some specific portion of the whole idea that excites you, do whatever you can that excites you the most, and that will lead you, whether it appears to be connected or not, into the circumstances you need to be led in to give you the ability to attract the circumstances to do the other things you were not capable of doing before. All excitement is a thread, and it leads to all other excitement. Always. Guaranteed. No exceptions, not even you. Does that help you?
Yes, you know, you are such an interesting being to talk with. I would love, for example, to have the capacity to interact with beings like yourself, for example.
But you do.
Yes, okay. But in such an interesting way that the book would help the readers to have exciting and wonderful new ideas coming up and accepting also other civilization.
Well, you're capable of doing that. Let your imagination fly.
More easily. Is it possible to have dialogues with somebody like you for writing?
Sometimes, but we will not tell you what to write. That will be up to you.
No, but there must be
remember that you have access to all levels of information. We are here to remind you that you have access to all the same levels of information that we do.
Where are they? Where are those levels of information?
Within you. Within your trust that you have access to them. Without the trust, you have no access. If you have the trust that you do, you will get the information in whatever way, shape, or form it needs to come. It will come along the path of least resistance. It may not come in a dialogue like all of a sudden the sky opens up and there are the words printed on the clouds. It might, it can, it has happened before. But it may simply come in the actions that manifest in your life. Open yourself up to your desire, to your intention, and let the information come in whatever way it needs to. Who knows? Maybe you will simply be walking down your street and you will overhear something that comes from someone else, one of your own people, and it will be the very line you need to hear to inspire you in exactly the direction you need to go. You don't have to go searching the stars for that information if you're looking for conversations to have. Your people can help you right here on your own planet. Attract yourself into whatever circumstance you need to acquire the information you require to be who you are. You will get it. Don't place an expectation on how you think it must come. Just let it come. You will always recognize it when it gets there. Understand?
Yes, I understand.
Thank you very much. One moment.
Bashar?
One moment.
Bashar?
One moment. What is your timing?
9:15. It's a good time for a break. I would say. I'm getting energies from here that it's time to take a break. So I always just trust you'll know. You'll pick up that energy. But there are about 3 or 4 people who, for some reason, want.
Well, the physical channel said he'd like to know for that.
Okay, yes. Physical channel wanted to know at 9:15, around 9 o'clock.
You may all then enjoy a short break, and we will resume contact in approximately 15 of your. Okay, continue. You.
Bashar, you talked about existing in all dimensions at the same time.
And
I was wondering, what determines what dimension we incarnate on, or do we incarnate on all dimensions simultaneously?
you can incarnate on many. Not all dimensions require physical incarnation, though. You can still exist in those dimensions in whatever is the representative format of consciousness in that dimensional plane. Understand? It is simply that You can look at it as if you are incarnated on all of them, but that this focus in this life, because of the definition of what this dimension is, does not necessarily give you an awareness of all the other incarnations, if you will, you are having at the same time. Some other dimensions, this is not so. You have more ability to be more aware of all the incarnations you have going on at the same time, and this is one of the traits that your dimension now is also beginning to develop. You follow me? Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. But in a sense, this dimension has its limits, and not.
It has its definitional limits. It has not as many limits, however, as you experience within it. You can impose upon yourself and have more limits than simply those limits that are required to define the dimension. The limits that are required to define the dimension in which you exist, compared to the limits you have placed upon yourself for thousands of years, are far, far less extreme than you think. You have many more capabilities, even as a physical being, than you have been taught to think you have. You are now becoming more and more unlimited, and even within physical reality, there are many things you can do, even if you are still a physical being, that you have not allowed yourself to do, simply because of the assumed limits you have placed upon yourself through habits, beliefs, and ideas. You follow?
Yes.
So does that answer the question?
Yes, it does.
Thank you very much. You, male, back there.
Yes, thank you. I've got two questions.
Yes.
The first is in my day-to-day quest for self-fulfillment, I find that I have a choice to either live a life based on spiritual principles or live in fear and pain.
Oh, right, yes, your choice.
And as my life proceeds, I choose to live in fear and pain less and less.
Yes.
And I live more a life based on spiritual principles. However, in my dreams, I find that fear seems to exist in a different way. I'm wondering why my dreams are embodying more fear for me.
Well, you are, let's say, shoveling some of the stuff that you may still have to work out within your consciousness into your dream reality, where it can be played out without harm to your physical self. Understand? So you are shoveling it out of your physical reality into your dream reality, where you know it can be dissipated harmlessly. Many of you are doing this now.
Am I playing with it in a sense?
Yes, in a sense. You are examining things, learning all the things you need to learn from it, but without having to go through the rigors of playing it out in the physical reality, which takes more time. So you are accelerating. One of the first things many of you will do in your acceleration will be to shuffle some of the things you still have to deal with into a dream reality where it can be processed much more quickly. So process it you still will, but you'll do it in a way that will allow you to accelerate in your physical reality much more rapidly. Congratulations.
Second question.
Thanks.
Does number 12 have any special meaning?
All things have significance. All things. 12, for us, coincidentally and paradoxically, and not accidentally enough, is what our ancient numerical system is actually based on. Not 10, 12. To us, it represents all forms of vibrational expression before the number you call 13, which to us is a very transformational number, very magical, as you say, number. Now, you recognize it as well, but you recognize that idea in a very fearful way in what you call your negative superstition. 13 is a vibration that has to do with getting in touch with all levels of consciousness. It is, in of itself, the limbo vibration we referred to earlier. So 12 to us has meaning in that it represents all the steps necessary before it culminates in that completely integral transformational gate of 13. In our ancient language, Shakashini, 13. Does that assist you?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Jenny?
Sure.
Yes.
A couple of questions. To back up to the multidimensional existences, for lack of a better term,
It will do.
I'm unclear on how, in our terminology, you can kind of be at more than one place at one time.
All right. Let's look at it this way with another analogy. You have a hand yet?
Yes.
Has fingers yet?
Yes.
All right. Imagine a row of boxes into which you can place one of your fingers in each box. You follow me?
Yes.
Now, they all lead back to your hand, do they not?
Yes.
So the hand represents the oversoul that you are, the combined energy that you are. The finger represents a fragment, an extension of that whole idea. In the same way that each life you have represents a fragment or an extension of the whole energy that you are. So you can extend a finger as a life into a particular time frame. As many as you wish in any particular time frame, in as many time frames as you care to. But they all connect back into the one whole being that has, quote-unquote, spread itself out over the different dimensional planes of space and time. You follow me?
Yes, but I'm aware of all my fingers in the different boxes while they're in there.
As the oversoul, yes. But not necessarily as the fragment, depending upon the definition of the box you have placed that finger in. If there are separations in those boxes that does not allow one finger to see the other finger, that can symbolize the forgetting and the limitations that each finger or fragment may experience that does not allow it to know that other fingers exist.
Okay, but to clarify a little further, you have stated that these lives exist all at the same moment.
Basically.
Yet, you referred to someone else here before in a prior question that her counterpart existed as a botanist in your dimension, for example. Now, is that a future life, or is that...
It is considered in your colloquial time frame analogy a future life. We refer to it in a colloquial way to allow it to make sense to her in the time frame that you are used to using. But all lives exist now. So, let's put it this way. To her, it is a future life. To me, it's a contemporary. How's that?
Where does the integrity exist then within the energy? Now you use the word counterpart.
Yes.
That's all energy that exists at the same time. But yet,
counterpart is a specific term. Counterpart refers to another life that is going on, usually, literally, in the same time frame in which you exist. I use the term counterpart in this sense because it exists contemporarily with me. And we are referring to someone that exists contemporarily with you. But counterpart generally is used to refer to an aspect of the whole soul that you are that typically would be called a past or a future life, but it exists at the same time in what you recognize as another person. That is a part, if you will. Same part of same soul.
So therefore there's integrity existing there, although to us it may seem fragmented in time.
Oh yes. There is an underlying template of integrity that connects all fragments.
Okay.
Does that exist, sir?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Second question,
yes.
To back up again, you've talked repeatedly about how we create exactly what is in our existence, although perhaps not every single thing that happens.
Oh, every single thing that happens.
Okay, but you said there's a differentiation between conscious and unconscious, that some things are created
consciously, and some things are created unconsciously.
Okay, my question then is, how does one work towards getting or becoming aware of the unconscious drive?
Well, we have discussed that already to some degree. By doing what excites you the most, you focus your consciousness more in the surface. And focusing it more in the surface dissolves the barriers between your unconscious and conscious mind and allows you to be aware of more of what you are and what beliefs you have.
Okay, and I wasn't clear on that.
Thank you very much. There are other ways. You can do meditations and get in touch with different aspects and portions of yourself in that sense. Mostly, an easy way to do it is to look around and see what's happening in your physical reality, because your physical reality must be a reflection of what you believe to be most probable. So if what's happening is something you don't prefer, then first of all take responsibility for it and own it by saying, if this is what is happening, it must be reflective of what I believe is the most likely reality to happen. Now, do I prefer it? Yes or no? If no, then what would I have to believe in order to have this kind of reality? Once you get a handle on the definition, Change the definition into a belief you prefer. Once you change the definition to a belief you prefer and start acting as if that is the belief you now hold to be true, your physical reality has no choice but to follow suit because it is simply the shadow of your soul. Understand?
Yes.
So that's another one. Does this serve you?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Bashar?
You and then you.
Okay, following up on what the young man over there was just talking about.
Okay.
Leads into some of the questions I've had about some things that have happened the past couple of months in my life that are confusing me.
Oh, all right. Remember, first of all, that confusion intrinsically is not negative. It is similar to the limbo state. Confusion, co-fusion, fusion with more of yourself. Continue.
Last week, a number of things happened, but all in one day, I had a new friend of mine call me and say that she'd just been picked up for drinking while intoxicated, and would I come down and help her get out of jail? And
I beg your pardon. Did you mean driving while intoxicated?
Yes. Oh, I say drinking?
Okay.
And about 3 hours later, someone called me and said they needed some money. Could I send them $1,000? And then all during this period of time, a person that I've known for a long time was a house guest who has recently been diagnosed with cancer and is on chemotherapy. Now, I looked at all of these things and I was thinking, if these, that these things don't seem to be reflecting anything in my life. One, I don't drink.
Oh, one moment. Oh, all right.
I want to tell you what my confusion is.
Okay.
So I'm saying I don't drink. I don't have problems with, needing money. I don't have cancer. I'm not careful. And I kept thinking those are kind of negative things. And I kept thinking there's some positive thing going on here.
Yes.
But I couldn't put my hands on it. I couldn't see the symbology. So that's what I wanted. That's one thing I wanted to tell you.
I know. That's what I was about to say.
Okay.
Understand that just because individuals are in your life doesn't mean that what they're doing is a one-to-one reflection of what you're doing, but they are in your life because you believe for some reason that you need to interact with them. Perhaps it may simply be to be of assistance, but that's representative of your belief. It doesn't mean that when you say you create a reality with your belief, that you create a reality that always reflects back to you exactly verbatim, one-to-one, something you are actually doing as an active state. It means that you create your reality with your belief by drawing into your reality individuals and circumstances that you believe you need to interact with for whatever reason. You follow?
Okay.
See the difference?
I see the difference. Could you help me?
Well, how can you be of assistance to those individuals?
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay, along the same lines, by the time the house guest left, I thought of myself throughout the week having these thoughts that were really very foreign to me. Things like being very concerned about catching a cold and having ill health and just some other things that were going on. I realized that happens oftentimes, not only with the house guest, but you'll be sitting next to someone and you're in a perfectly good mood, and then 5 minutes later
you are empathic. Yes.
Okay. That's not something I prefer to do. I would rather.
Yes, it is something you prefer to do, or you wouldn't be doing it.
Okay.
However, you don't have to do it in a negative way. Recognize that you want to be empathic so you can identify with what they're doing, what they're going through, so you can help them. The only difference is you don't have to take it upon yourself in a negative way. You don't have to map the identification all the way to the point of creating yourself to be in the same negative mood. You can recognize it, but you can also recognize it in a detached and compassionate way. You don't have to experience it just because you're being empathic, but you do want to be empathic so you can help them. Because if you can't identify with them, if you can't be empathic, you won't know enough about who they are to be able to help them anyway.
Okay, fair enough. But is there any sort of technology or something that would help me not slip into that as much, because I don't find that comfortable.
All right. First of all, recognize that what you have been experiencing has simply been from the assumption that you have to pick it up all the way. Now that you know you don't, that in and of itself can make enough of a difference. But here's a suggestion. Anytime you begin to feel it, allow yourself to breathe breathe deeply, calmly, evenly, and take the energization and oxygenation that occurs in your electromagnetic field and allow yourself to modulate the energy so it simply becomes something you are observing and not something you are experiencing. Give yourself the ability to simply know what you need to know in a very quick and telepathic manner. And then once you know it, dispense with the formalities of the symbology. Find what I am saying to make sense?
Yeah. The hyperventilating.
No. We're not suggesting that. Just slow and easy, and it doesn't have to go on for very long. 3 breaths are enough to even it out. 3 breaths.
Okay.
And you have automatically provided your own answer for another suggestion. Do what you just did. Laugh. Because that lightens everything up.
Okay. One last question.
Okay.
I think it's associated with it.
All right.
I've recently moved from Southern California to a town about 73 miles north of San Francisco. It's beautiful up there. I like it very much. But when I get into my apartment, I find a very definite shift in energy.
Okay.
I feel rather cohesive and directed when I'm outside and doing things. I get into the apartment and I feel dispersed.
Okay.
And I find myself wanting to do nothing but read metaphysical books and sleep.
So.
And then I think, I've got to do these other things, and I more or less validate myself. And then sometimes I get into bad moods, and I also sometimes feel that I'm picking up something in the environment. Anyway, it's a mess, and I want to...
It is only your safety valve, that is all. It is the place where you can explore all those things in the safety of your own privacy, knowing that you will have dealt with whatever you need to deal with, and then when you leave the apartment, you will be able to be of assistance in the focused way you need to be, having already processed all the things you need to process. It is your place of processing, that is all. It's your womb.
Okay.
Where you are being reborn constantly. It is your place of self-discovery. It is your think tank, your isolation chamber.
Okay, there's one kind of, I don't know, it seems like there's an entity there, though, too.
There is energy and consciousness, and some of it has to do with some of your past lives and associations with the area, and some of it has to do with things that have yet to happen.
Okay, some of it, I find myself depressed, and...
All right. Remember that depression is only meditation that is negatively judged. Remember that depression is simply going within to find the answers you know do not exist outside yourself. Do not judge it negatively, and it will not have a negative feeling to it. That is all depression is for. It is for you to reconstruct the idea that you are as a person, so that when you emerge from the meditation, you are a different person, the person you need to be. That's what it's for. Don't judge it, and it will be more of an enjoyable experience. All right?
When you say it sounds great, but why do I judge it then? I mean, why
simply out of the habitual rituals that your society has always taught you.
Okay.
Oh, what's the matter? Can't handle life? Going within, withdrawing, retreating? What's wrong with you? Why can't you buck up, be strong, face life? Those things create the idea of that self-meditation to be very, very depressing, very negative. Because your society takes it as a sign that you can't handle life, when in fact, it is exactly the way to handle it. To go within, to search for the answers that you know you need to live the life you know you are. It is simply a habitual ritual, that is all. Get over it now by redefining it, and you'll never experience it that way again. Sometimes the depressive energy, the depressive attitude is a buffer as well. You surround yourself with a type of buffer so you can do the processing in a way you believe is safe without feeling like a raw, exposed nerve. So you depress yourself, compress yourself, go through the change, and then expand. It is a way to integrate, in a sense. It is compression more than depression. Understand?
Yeah.
So, If you agree with my definitions, make them your definitions, and when you make them your definitions, you will have a different experience when you create that. Remember that no matter how you have experienced anything in the past, as soon as you redefine it, you'll never experience it that way again. And it doesn't matter how you used to experience something, when you change the idea, it changes in that moment, no matter how it used to be. Because you create the past from the present, not the other way around. Got it?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
One last question. There's a voice that says failure, failure, failure. I don't think that's me. I thought I had come into something that's different from me. And
first of all, it always has to be you, even if you are receiving information from another source.
okay.
It is, again, you, but it is the one we refer to as some of the past life phenomena, so it sounds like it's coming from someone else because you don't consider that you to still be the you are now.
Okay,
it is old memories and old habits that you are assimilating. Tell it you love it. Tell it to hush up. Tell it that you are integrating, you know you're not a failure, and remind it, because this is the most important thing, it is not a failure either. Because the ones that scream failure the loudest are usually the ones that believe it about themselves. Because then they don't want to see anyone else succeed out of sour grapes, you follow me?
Yeah.
So that old portion of you is simply not wanting to lose your company because you know what you say about misery and company. So remind the old you that it is not a failure, that you love it, that it can expand, and therefore, once it knows its potential, it will not have to remind you of what it believes itself to be. Understand?
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
Work the past from the present. Thank you. Yes. Work it out among yourselves. Yes.
I have been delighting in some areas of my life, I think, in self-sabotage.
Oh, all right. Many of you find it very exciting, yes.
And I pulverized myself with a lot of ideas of things I could do.
Yes.
And I could do them.
Yes.
But I don't choose to do any one of them, and I use doing the other ones to keep me from doing the one.
Oh, right.
I must be delighting in it because
Yes.
I've been doing it for a while.
Yes.
And
Having a wonderful time.
yeah. But
When it no longer serves you, you will no longer do it.
it's frustrating me, and I guess I'd like your comment on
Oh, all right.
what it takes to...
Well, let's ask a question. If I may I?
Yes.
Thank you. If, let's play it, you know how many of you love to play here. If you did do one of those things you say you do not do, what would happen? Or, what do you fear might happen if you would do one of those things?
I think I'm afraid that if I do all of them, which is what I'm driving towards, that I will
run out of things to do.
I'll be consumed by by doing them all, by the activity and the expectations and demands.
Demand. All right. Fair enough. Very good. Why do you believe that? Oh, I don't know. Just do. What on it? Why do you believe that would be the natural result as opposed to any other result?
I think the way that I've done some of the things in the past have put me in that position. Not like I've run an
All right.
organization.
We understand the connection that many of you have to the idea of what happened before means it's going to happen again, but that's not the way it works. What happens now is what you decide will happen now, regardless of whatever has happened in the past. Do you believe that?
I think I'm afraid to do that.
Why? Why would you be afraid to be completely in control? Does the responsibility scare you?
I think I don't trust that person that I was is not still there. And
Oh, the person you were will always exist. Always. You are never going to get rid of anything because there's nowhere to get rid of anything to. However, no, you see. You don't have to be afraid of that. You will always, by definition, as an integrated being, you always must retain connection to everything you have ever been, or you're not integrated. It's how you use it. That's the whole point. It's what you prefer to be in terms of the overall direction that you use all the other yous as. So, you can allow the old you to exist, but simply know you choose to not let that old you decide how things will be run. Understand?
Yes.
You are deciding what you prefer. This is your now. Your now. Not its now, your now. Its now was then, your now is now. So while you may rely on it for past experience, because it has brought you to where you are, so don't invalidate it. By all means, don't invalidate it. Validation is the key. If you invalidate something you have been, that firmly anchors you to that spot, and that's why you don't get ahead. Because you're not willing to allow that portion of yourself to be valid, and if you don't allow that portion of yourself to be valid, you can't get past that point. Because each point is a stepping stone in the direction you want to go. Let that portion of yourself be valid. It has served a purpose, if only to show you what you no longer prefer to be. But if something has shown you what you no longer prefer to be, that gives you a clearer idea of what you do wish to be, and therefore has served you in a positive way. Everything can be used in a positive way if you look at it in that way. You understand? So let the way you used to be that you no longer prefer to be have served you to bring you to a point where now you are aware of what you prefer to be. And assume, trust, that your awareness, pay attention, your awareness in and of itself of where you prefer to be is enough to allow you to know you have made the decision of who you are now, and then you will have the light style of that you. Understand? Your awareness of who you want to be is your intention of who you want to be. If that is your intention, act like it. There will always be more than enough time to do all the things you want to do. If there wasn't, what would be the point? The universe does not do pointless things. Never gives you more than you are ready to really handle. Never. And if there are two things in life that you really need to do, two things that you really must do to be who you are, then the time will arrange itself for those two things to be done. Because if there wasn't enough time for both, the universe would not be allowing you to be who you are, and that doesn't happen. So you will always have enough time. Always. Everything will fit into place, fall into place in perfect timing when you relax your grip on trying to make sure you are controlling everything. That's timing. You're trying to juggle your life around. You don't have to do that. Everything already has a niche. Everything already fits in a slot. Let it. Allow it to. You don't have to make it. You don't have to force it. Allow it. By acting upon the opportunities that present themselves to you most strongly, that excite you the most. And that will allow everything else to fall into place naturally. Remember, the whole transformation is about learning to be natural, not normal. Understand? The natural you are. Not the normal you have all taught yourselves to be. So relax. Relax. Do what really excites you, because it will allow everything else that excites you to fall into place and take its turn. There will be no demands, no stress, no strain. That is counter to the definition of everything fitting. Understand? Does this serve you? Well, thank you very much for your willingness to expand in that direction. You, and then you. Maybe you.
I'm very interested to know a little bit more about yourself and the people.
Well, I do not want to jabber on all night. What do you wish to know specifically?
Okay. From what I've learned or understand, there's the different dimensions, the physical, astral, causal, mental, etheric levels.
Okay.
What level, well, we call it levels, but we're not saying up or down, but
We
what
understand.
dimensions would you say you're from?
Oh, one moment. What you are referring to now are, in a sense, levels and dimensions, but it is not the same kind of a dimension we are referring to. We are referring to something that in your terminology would be more of a parallel dimension that also has its own portion of the astral, the etheric, the causal, and so on. You follow me?
Yes.
It is a parallel idea, another type of vibrational physicality. We are fourth density physical moving into fifth, which means non-physical altogether. You are third density physical going into fourth density physical, where we are at now. But those changes are taking place within. And the astral and etheric and causal and all the other planes, in that sense, overlap and are a part of the parallel dimension in which you and I exist. We are two different ways of doing the same thing.
Would you say that the other, okay, we're in a parallel dimension, but the other levels are of a higher vibratory rate than where we come from?
The astral dimension, in that sense, is the non-physical fourth density. You are becoming physical fourth density. We are already physical fourth density. The astral plane is non-physical fourth, and it basically goes up from there until you reach the octave, and then you go into other dimensional universes, other tones, other vibrations.
And in order to achieve that astral level, we can leave this physical body. There's that astral body. By using the astral body or the soul
Yes, you can if you wish. Now, remember again that even though we know how it appears to you, the idea of astral projection and astral travel is more of an expansion of your consciousness than a literal, quote-unquote, leaving of the body. All you're doing is changing the focus of your consciousness to a wider being. You follow me?
So it's not a movement of the body leaving the body.
Not literally. Because nothing ever really moves or goes anywhere. It's all here.
Right.
But it is an expansion, as if it were a bubble, expanding, and your consciousness was on the skin of that bubble. So while you are physical, it is a tight bubble. When you expand astrally, it becomes a bigger bubble, and the body exists inside that bubble. And on and on and on and on and on. So the idea to remember is that it is not that consciousness exists within your body. It is that your body exists within your consciousness. So as you change your focus, you are simply expanding the definition of your consciousness and seeing things in a more expanded way, like a bubble growing inside. And then that bubble, of course, by definition, will contain everything it has ever been. Understand?
I think so.
Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Is there something else you wish to know about our civilization?
Yes, there is a friend of mine who is in touch also with extraterrestrials, and they mentioned something about the zone. The zone. Is that a level of existence? Also?
Yes. There is many references to many different types of zone. The one we perceive that is being made reference to here is the fact that there is a transitional zone, if you will, that represents going from one dimension to your dimension, represented by all the different levels, let us say, of thickness around your world, representing all the different spiritual levels. Outside all those immediate levels associated with your world, there is a zone that allows you to shift gears and go into another dimensional series of levels down to the core of that civilization. There are many inhabitants, many levels and different forms of consciousness, even within what you call the zone, which can be considered the actual framework of all that you and I may consider to be universes unto themselves. Understand?
Pretty vast.
It would be as if there were, in your terms, writings on a page, and writings on a page would be one civilization. Flip the page, writings on the other side, another civilization. But the page itself is a zone of consciousness. Unlike that on the surface, but very real in its own way, and gives definition to the fact that you can even experience the other two pages, simply because the page itself exists. That is what is being referred to as the zone, you follow me? The structure that gives definition to all that you and I consider real reality. But in and of itself, it is its own real reality, but very different, very different, very different. But there is consciousness contacting your world from that area.
I assume, I know that there are many on planet Earth as well, walking amongst us as walk-ins, or they also have been seated here many eons ago.
Yes, but remember. In a sense, none of you are original to your planet anyway.
Right.
And some of what you call walk-ins are not walk-ins in the literal sense, although some are. Some of them are simply ascensions from one level of consciousness into another level of the same consciousness. It will change the personality completely and make it seem as if it is a completely different consciousness, but it is. Now, in our ancient language, zone translates out to Bamara. And in our particular solar system, there is an area, just to illuminate you on our particular area, called Bamara, the zone. And it is called such because the planet in that orbit does not orbit within the plane of the ecliptic of the solar system. It goes up, above the plane, down, below the plane, creating, in a sense, a zone where there should be a planet. You follow me? Does this suffice?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
I've been working with...
One moment.
I have two questions.
Oh,
When someone you love very much and who loves you very much dies,
yes.
a parent, for instance,
Yes.
who has provided guidance all your life, can that guidance continue?
Of course, but remember, even though we know what you mean by guidance, you have been providing your own guidance based upon what you have accepted of their guidance. Understand? So you can still accept what you wish. And there are many who will assist you. But you still choose what you determine is your guidance. So you are actually guiding yourself.
But can they become a part?
Yes, they can be spirit guides, yes.
Okay,
Yes, it does. And yes, they are.
my second question is, for myself, there's an area that I visit every year where I find myself more spiritually aware. Is that common, or is there a reason for me feeling that way in this particular place?
We perceive it has a high degree of association for you with regard to the original reason you have incarnated upon Earth to begin with. So in a sense, you pay a visit to home. What you consider to be more home than where you are. For, shall we say, refreshment and assessment. Understand? Thank you. Yeah.
I've been working with people and helping them integrate the energy.
Yeah. Thank you very
on
much.
a spiritual, mental, physical level.
Yeah.
And I need some assistance in working with people with AIDS.
Oh, all right. Remember this. We will be brief because we have discussed this many times and the literature and information is available. The idea of AIDS is a specific symbol to represent the denial in your society for a long time, the denial of the blending of the masculine and the feminine energies within each and every individual. This denial and the continuance of this denial and the placing upon this continuance of this denial of invalidation, judgment, negativity, and fear has now created a dis-ease that represents the lack of willingness, the fear to blend and integrate the masculine and feminine energies within each and every individual into a balanced state. So when individuals can balance and blend that energy within themselves equally, there will be no disease. None. Of any form whatsoever. Think of an individual as an energy being and allow them to begin to see themselves as homogeneous. A blue-white electromagnetic light without any particular variation. Let them recrystallize their bodies out of that homogeneous blue-white light, and know that the new body is representative of the new idea of blending and balancing, day by day, bit by bit. More and more they can transform themselves into a balancing and a blending. Now, certain individuals may not believe they can do that, and they may, in your terms, take themselves out of physical existence before they will bring themselves back in, if they choose to examine and blend and balance the ideas that they have chosen to explore in that life. But individuals can also blend and balance that energy in the present life. They do not have to die physically in order to do that. So talk about the ideas and be of assistance to the ideas of the blending and the balancing of the masculine and feminine energies within each and every individual, and it can alleviate the dis-ease. Does that assist you?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. There will be, in your terms, but a few moments remaining for this interaction this evening of your time. Are there any further sharing?
For sure.
Yes.
There has been a lot of doom and gloom philosophy going on.
Yes, doom and gloom.
Doom and gloom. One particular channel has been instilling fear into people's mind about what is going to happen to catastrophes, to what is going to happen to California.
Yes.
And literally hundreds of families have fled to other parts of the country in fear. What is the credibility that you can give to
Thank you. Let us address the situation this way. Remember this. There is no such thing as a prediction of the future. Prediction is as follows. It is a sensing of the energy that may be most likely to manifest if it doesn't change. And that sensing takes place at the time the prediction is made. That's the energy that exists at the time the prediction is made. However, realize that once an individual knows where the momentum and where the energy may be and what idea it is behind, if they do not prefer that manifestation, their awareness of the prediction can render the prediction obsolete. Nothing is chiseled in steel. Now, certain predictions may pick up on events or probabilities that have a great deal of momentum behind them and may seem very likely. Seeming as if nothing could possibly divert it because the energy is so strong. But anything can always be transformed. And so we will say this about the whole idea of the transformation. You are going through a transformation. Changes there will be. But you can decide what reality you prefer. You can decide whether you wish to experience the transformation in a negative way or a positive one. And that will determine how you experience any type of shift at all. Be the full, loving being of service you can be, to be of aid and assistance, and live the life you live to the fullest, then you will not have to place yourself in an area that will shake you away. So individuals will simply find themselves automatically, without even planning to, being where they need to be in the type of reality that represents the way they choose to go through the transformation, positive or negative. Now, there may still be a few sporadic occurrences of transformational shifts in a negative fashion, in a catastrophic fashion, but you have already, as a society, as far as we perceive your energy, done much to transform that energy in a positive way because you are willing to wake up. And so, even as few as 10 of your years ago, there were many more likelihood of negative catastrophic transformations than there are now. You have alleviated. Then the whole area will siphon that energy off, transform it in a positive way, and use it in other ways, and will not have to have a negative catastrophic transformation. Changes there are, and the electromagnetic field of your world is shifting all the time. But these pressures and changes and shifts can be released positively as well as negatively. So anytime you hear such a prediction that you feel is negative and fear-inducing, recognize you're not really being lied to, but you are being given an opportunity. Take it as an opportunity. Take it as an opportunity to say, all right, I have heard what you say. I know you may be sensing the mass consciousness of this particular area at that time, but I choose, because I know I can choose a different way to manifest that reality. So, say, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to decide whether or not I prefer the reality you are defining, because now I know the reality you are defining as the most probable reality is not the reality I will experience, and you have given us all an opportunity to transform that energy in a positive way. So take any such prediction as an opportunity, not as something chiseled in steel. You follow me?
Absolutely.
Does that assist you?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much.
We thank each and every one of you, individually and collectively, this night of your time. Remember, please remember, each and every individual makes a difference. You all have impact, and any change in a positive direction you create within your life, any change in a positive direction you allow to happen in your life, will make a difference in the ability of your entire civilization to choose the positive reality. It will make it that much more easy because you are adding that much more positive energy by your own actions, by your own choices. It tips the scale, and it will accelerate in that direction if that's what you prefer. Remember, above and beyond all, anything you can imagine that represents the positive reality you deserve is deserved by you. Is deserved just because you can imagine it. You don't need another reason. You don't need a stronger reason to have a life of ecstasy other than the reason that you can imagine it and you choose it. Just because you say so is enough. You are exercising the free will that the infinite Creator gave you. Your choices and decisions will stick. Just because you say so, it's enough. It's that simple. It is that simple. Nothing is too good to be true. Nothing. We extend to each and every one of you our appreciation, once again, and our unconditional love in allowing us to experience the gift that you are. Our energy and our love, and we bid you exciting dream lives and life dreams. Wake up and live your dreams. You deserve it. We thank you for acting as ambassadors of your world, and I thank you for allowing me to act as an ambassador of mine, so that we may one day, more and more, share the same dreams and explore all of creation in joy and ecstasy. We thank you for allowing us to play with you. Good day. Amen. How'd everything go?
As I was going to the world school, that I guess there's really no way that I can get out of that. And
Not want to. Not want to. Come down. Invitation.
The woman that I saw going down before me, because there were other people involved too. The woman that I saw being cut down before me had a little panic on her face too. But then as she was going into the whirlpool and being cut down, all of a sudden there was
ecstasy. In whirlpool, all energy gates, all vortices in whirlpool, energy whirlpool. You remember. In whirlpool, you remember. All of you in whirlpool. All.
My last thought as I was going into the whirlpool is that, okay, I'll enjoy it, but I wonder how my mother will think me too young. And I was sad for her.
At bottom of whirlpool, all is there. No one is gone. Everyone is in whirlpool when you at bottom. All come together. E, space term, black hole. L, reality. At bottom of whirlpool, all is there. No one is apart. Space, A, spirit guides of specific nature for people, humaniform, who still dream alive. Dreamers on land live dreams in and out through doorways, walk and see white spirit. Spirit is human. Spirit is dolphin. Spirit is Katrina. Spirit is extraterrestrial. Spirit is energy, light of worlds, spatial dolphin, spatial dream, spatial human. Natural. Nature, spirit.
Okay. I have one more question. I have been on this guided tour of Lion's Path. Can you tell me where it's going?
Similar, Orca Path, Samurai of Sea, Sorcerer of Sea, Orca Bee, black, white, polarity. To swim, Orca Path, Lion Path, to live bold, to live on edge of sword, to cut through water, to cut through energy, to cut through reality. Bold expression, sharp and quick, no turning back. Strong energy, all reality, no constant foundation, no sea floor, bottomless depths of all eternity is Lion's Path. Ancient dragon dream, dragon of sea, dragon of air is Lion's Path. Orca Bee.
Dragon?
Dragon, ancient wisdom bee, green transformation emerald bee of earth. Way, shine, dream, energy, pod, be all, slumber, play, tonight your time. Swim and share, sign dream, way, play, physical, come into water, play, we swim, we touch, play, our world, your world, one world, be you, us, we, one world, brother, sister, be, when one world, other world, we be. We love, we send, we share. All right, all set. Allow us to continue. Good.
sailboat and no one else was around, and I would say there were nearly close to 1,000, I don't think I'm exaggerating, white-sided Pacific dolphins. And I was going to ask if there was some other significance to that, other than if there was a movement of energy or why that was that large a grouping. I've never seen anything like it before. It was just
More and more, the more you collect of yourself together, the more you create yourself to be a pod, the more pods you will interact with. Single interactions alone will no longer suffice to represent the gathering together of all the levels of the consciousness that you are. You will be in the midst of an explosion of their ecstasy. Yes. Use the energy. Let it accelerate you. Ride upon the wave. Thank you.
Bashar?
You.
Thank you. I have two questions.
Number one.
The first question is, what is the specific nature and purpose of the pink Amazon River dolphins?
Some of this has been to some degree relayed by Dreamer in the sense that they represent nature's spirit. They are particularly reflective of what you might call indigenous natives that still live half in your third density reality and half in fourth density reality. They are the comings and goings and reflections in your reality terms of different levels of consciousness that communicate with the indigenous natives in those areas.
Second question. I had a dream recently where I was conducted to a place underwater on the sea floor, and there was a civilization extant there, biped beings, humanoids if you will, and they were very busy. They had a complex, organized society, very clean and very efficient. And my question is this common on our planet? Because I was told that this was upon our planet, and that those who dwell under the waves have not been in contact with those who dwell upon the land.
It is not, let us say, uncommon. However, simply recognize that those dwellings do not specifically exist within the exact dimensional frequency you would call your own. And therefore they are not findable unless you are in their frequency range. They are not visible. They are not in your third dimension specifically. Contact that has occurred in the same way you have just described that manner. In dream reality, since you bridge all levels of frequency range, you can go where and when you will.
One last question in regards to that civilization. Do they have interdimensional craft?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Ew.
First of all, I want to thank you for the workshop that we co-created last week.
We thank you for co-creating it with us.
My consciousness has kind of been like, the best way I can explain it is a strobe.
All right.
Where in one moment I will be aware of that I am third density, and then the next moment I'll realize that maybe half today is gone.
Okay.
Already.
Hey! You are sensing the flashes of the creation of momentary time.
Yeah. About the dreamer, I sense that this consciousness is strongly connected to Neptune.
Well, in a sense.
Well, I mean, it's the same vibratory.
Yes, although some of that vibratory frequency perhaps would be more appropriately felt through many of what you would call the whales.
Okay. I'd also like to share a dream with you.
All right.
Obviously, I enjoy astrology in the dream state as much as I do in the waking state.
Okay.
I had a dream where I was receiving all different forms of astrology that I was totally unfamiliar with.
Okay.
But I just accepted that I understood it in the dream state. And at the end of the dream, I became very lucid, and I saw a craft, an extraterrestrial craft,
okay,
that it was translucent. It was the same ship that I interacted with in the dream state at 12, 11 and 12. and as it passed over me, it was translucent, and there was rotating circular objects on the bottom.
Right.
And I synchronistically the next day I went into a bookstore and I saw the exact same crap on a book, and the author had stated that this was a reticulum consciousness.
You're seeing overlays. One level reticulum, but a stronger level Arcturus.
Okay, is that connected to my astrological information in any way?
Yes.
Okay.
Arcturus specifically.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You. We thank you very much for being there.
And you were talking about polarity in black and white.
Yes.
And I have in my astrological configurations, I have a polarity of Saturn opposing Uranus and the Sun opposing Neptune. And I'm a singer, and I want to tune into the frequencies to be a channel for healing.
All right.
And I'd like to know where I can fit in the science that I'm used to.
The science. May I ask you a question? When you say you wish to be a healer, how do you picture yourself doing it?
By bringing me what's under.
I mean physically. How do you picture in your mind yourself doing it? When you say, I wish to be a healer, is there a picture that comes up? Do you see yourself in the act of healing? And if so, how are you doing it? Describe the picture, literally, in physical terms. Of what nature?
Music and writing and film.
All right. That is what excites you then. Then do it. There is nothing else you really need to know unless you wish to create another process, which you can do. All right. Then use your imagination, for your imagination is the key. What way do you believe would be the most exciting way to go about learning what you need to learn? If you had a preference, if you had the option, which you do have, by the way, but which perhaps I can play like I am giving you right now. And I say, all right, there are things you wish to learn. Right now, at this moment, you have the unlimited option of choosing any way, shape, or form that you think would be fun to learn the things you need to learn. What would you choose? Anything at all. Anything. Use that imagination. Anything. You are now being given the proverbial 3 wishes.
Do you network with like minds that I might not know now and I might know now?
Done. Look around.
To travel through all time to receive the information that I can bring out.
Done. You have been other places before you have been here, and you will be other places after you leave. And everything will bring to you exactly the information you require at that moment. No sooner, no later.
And to know what is necessary.
To know what is necessary. What is necessary to be a healer is to act like you already are a healer. And then you will live the life of a healer and experience all the things that a healer experiences. So if you wish to be a healer, then now use your ability to be a healer in whatever way you can use it. That is the most exciting way that is now available to you. That will bring you into circumstances and situations that will give you whatever else you need to be a healer and a channeler in any other way you desire to be it. Using what you have now lures you into circumstances that gives you what you need for later. You follow me? Everything is connected. Everything plays a part. there are no extraneous events in your life. None. Staggering, isn't it? Everything is connected to everything else because everything is the same one thing, manifesting in all the simultaneous, multidimensional ways it can. So when you act upon whatever manifestation, whatever representation it gives you at any given moment that you can act upon, it will always gently guide you into the necessary circumstance to infuse you with whatever else you need to do any other level of what you want to do. You follow me? So, relax and look around and examine what opportunities are already available to you in your life that you may not yet be acting upon because you may think it has nothing to do with getting you where you want to go. You follow me? Do what excites you. Thank you.
Bashar.
You.
Bashar, why was it the workshop last Sunday?
Yes.
And when you were asked to go to our favorite place?
Yes. Your place of perfect peace.
Oh, yes. I had two of them at the beginning.
Yes.
Of course, there were two at the end. There's a lot of things.
Nice balance.
Now there's there was a person, well, actually two people.
Yes.
In the first, I went between two of them at the beginning, and there were two people in the first one.
All right.
And then I would go to the mountaintop, and then I would go back to this other scene. And then I eventually stayed in the mountaintop, and then I would come back to the room because the room had so much beautiful energy with it. But anyways, I was wondering if you could help me understand the significance of putting two people in my perfect place like that.
Were they male and female?
There was a male, and I don't know the sex of the other one.
All right. It will do to represent it as feminine if you wish, and simply recognize it as your opportunity to blend and marry the relationship of the feminine and the masculine energy within you, so that it becomes one being, you.
Oh, but there was also then when the child, actually it was a birth. There was a birth also.
All right, very good.
We went through the stages.
Yes, well, the marrying of that relationship within you will always create a birth. Will that assist you?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. Hey.
I have a specific question. How specific can I be?
Well, let's see. How specific can you be?
A question was asked earlier about the lion's path.
Hey.
There are three of us involved in the lion's path right now. What are your feelings about the direction that it's taken?
Perhaps, meaning to be derogatory, there could be a little more boldness. There could be a little more trust that it truly is a lion's path. Does the lion stop to worry? Or does the lion live? Are the plains yours to roam wherever you wish? Or are you on a preserve and restricted? Which? Those are the things perhaps that we perceive you may wish to consider. Is the world your home? Or are you isolated within the idea of yourself? When you expand the idea of who and what you are, all your ability of communication will expand accordingly. You will contain everything else. And therefore, any message that needs to be delivered will automatically be delivered because who you're delivering it to
is no farther away than you are. And nothing is truly separate. The lion does not really think itself separate from the savannah. The lion knows it is the savannah. The savannah knows it is the lion. Animals understand themselves as the relationship they are in, not separate from it. How's that?
Good.
Does that serve you? Do you wish to be more specific in a particular direction?
Do you think that the individuals involved in this lion's path, because they are together, do you think that's the strongest creative front to where we're going, as far as being together?
What if I said no? Would you believe me?
I would listen to you.
All right. All right. We are playing this out at a certain pace for a reason. If I said yes, would you be more likely to believe me than if I said no? And, if I may phrase it another way, which one do you prefer to believe? The yes or the no?
You've answered my question.
No, thank you. Yay. Oh, all right. Time's up.
Okay.
You'll have to be quicker than that. Oh, yeah. When you say quickie, we take you literally.
That's not even my question. I have a question for two friends.
All right, a semi-quickie.
Okay, second. You've been talking about electromagnetic forces tonight a lot.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you realize that.
All right. Okay.
And some question came up as to whether or not this whole country with microwave mania. Is it safe to use microwaves? There are people who do use them, people who don't use them. What are your thoughts about why all of a sudden microwaves have become this?
Microwave energy has the specific characteristic, whether it is used in certain directions or not, to literally alter the structure of material. This can be a causation, and it can be an effect as well, of the alteration of material. Microwave energy represents the manipulation of a particular spectrum of light that does have to do with your ability to tunnel through, shall I say, extremely colloquially put, from one dimension of reality into another. Microwave energy represents the ability to manipulate the structure of matter. Represents the level of energy upon which the structure of matter begins to slide and slip and break down and destructurize. This can be beneficial destructurization, or it can be destruction, depending upon how it is utilized. So when you say, is it safe, it depends upon the attitudes, beliefs, scenarios, and realities that have been created by the individuals utilizing it for any particular specific purpose, and whatever other individuals buy into that belief system and whatever other individuals do not. You, as a being, as an electromagnetic being, always have the opportunity to recognize that whatever vibratory frequency your particular bubble happens to be will determine what effect the general electromagnetic spectrum in your society has upon you. Whether you accept it in, or whether in your terms you let it slide around your bubble. You follow me?
Yes.
It is up to you. You will find that there is a high degree of recognizable microwave frequency in connection with many of our spacecraft. This is an effect from the stepping up of the light energy that we use to power the craft, and is given off as a field around the ship because that microwave field is the isolation bubble that allows our ships to unlock from one universal reality and lock into any other universal reality, allowing us to redefine and relocate ourselves instantaneously without having to have traveled through space. You follow me?
Yes. So
in the microwave energy field, all universal realities break down and can be rearranged in whatever pattern we impose upon it with our vibratory resonance frequencies within the craft. We melt, very colloquial, we melt the universe around us and re-solidify it where and when we want to be. You understand?
Yes. So the choice of vibration, vibratory pattern, is up to the individual.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bashar?
Yes, and then you.
Yes, I have been communicating with my birds for a while now, and lately...
Speak up.
Communicating with them. Like...
In what way?
He wants to be inside of me, and I don't like to fall inside of me.
Inside of you? How?
Like he wants to think... it's like I'm reflecting something of myself, and he's reflecting it back.
Yes, well, that goes on between anybody in any relationship.
So, if I have something that needs to be clear, or he wants to bring out, he reflects it back to me.
Yes, and you can take the reflection at whatever rate you are comfortable in taking it. No one is forcing anything upon you. And simply remember that since you are all mirrors and all reflecting to each other, then nothing really has the ability to actually get inside of you and crawl around. All it can do is reflect to you, and you can let it bounce off of your reflective surface, or you can accept the image in the surface of the mirror you are, but you have to choose to accept it in order for it to be inside of you. No one can place it in there without you creating your version of it to exist within you. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Any individuals that interact are mirrors for each other. They reflect at any given moment certain ideas and aspects that you have attracted yourself to them to allow them to reflect to you. Now, this does not always mean that when you see an individual acting in a certain way, that they have to be an absolute one-to-one representation of what you are doing in life. But you still attract them to reflect certain ideas and opportunities to you so that you can reflect in return certain ideas that they may need to explore about themselves in that given moment. You understand? Yeah. So simply take anything you are offered simply as that, an offering. Not a forcing, an offering. Whatever vibratory frequency you choose to be will determine which aspects and how much of that offering you decide to incorporate within your reality structure. Anything that you do not believe belongs there, simply say, thank you for your offering, but no thank you. You follow me? Does that assist you? Oh, thank you very much. Sure. One moment, the female.
I had a dream 2 nights before the workshop last week about going up and down an elevator and huge waves coming over it. And when I came down to the bottom, I had pictures of people that were on the beach. And the thought that came to me was, I wasn't in an elevator, I was in a craft, and I was taking pictures. And this is what I was bringing back as proof. Can you give me any ideas of what was really taking place here?
At this timing, for now, let us let it lie. There is more to this understanding that will play itself out in your dream realities. Do not worry about it. Enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the solidification and reinforcement of the reality. Enjoy dipping into the past, and enjoy realizing that you are now where you truly wish to be, and that this is the life you have been waiting for thousands and thousands of years. All of you. For now, we will allow you to continue to push the buttons on that elevator and go where you will. For now. For now, right now is the timing for us to extend to each and every one of you once again our deepest appreciation, our deepest love, and our deepest joy at your willingness to share and interact with us. Exciting dream lives and life dreams to you all. Wake up and live your dreams. We bid you all a fond and unconditionally loving good night.
Good night.
How'd it go? Thank you all very much for being here tonight.
Thank you, Darryl.
And also